Hello folks, very warm welcome to another video here in the Microsoft Sim. Once again flying the gorgeous beast that is the TBM 930. I hope wherever you are in this crazy mixed up world that you are well and that you are warm if you happen to live in colder climes at the moment, and that you are cool if you happen to live in warmer climes. I know the extremes on this planet are quite something. Big planet, kind of makes sense. I know that there are some places over there in the continent, on the continent even, who are struggling with heat, and down here in Australia, some of us are experiencing rather fresh temperatures, and that's where I find myself today. Well, most days, every day even. Anyway, folks, welcome to another video. So, by way of disclaimer, yeah, I'm flying this aeroplane again. If you're looking for the latest and greatest aircraft releases, I'm afraid that this channel's probably not going to satisfy you. I'm not picking up much in the way of new stuff. I'm kind of, for reasons. The positive side is that I'm getting tremendous value out of the stuff that I do have, and incredible value out of stuff that comes with the stock sim, and then is complemented by a mod, and as a bonus, an aircraft that I really enjoy flying. So let me tell you where we are and what we're going to do today. It's quite a bit of flying to do. The video I'll keep to my normal sort of 20 minutes ish, but there's a bit of flying to do, and anyway, let me show you. And yes, one thing you get on this channel, folks, almost guaranteed every video, at no extra charge, is at least one of my dogs making a contribution. So we begin our journey in Sweden, here in a place called Sundsvall. Did I get that somewhat accurate? This is dangerous stuff for me to fly in this part of the world. That's where we begin our journey, and it's a four-legger. So we're going from Sundsvall down to a place called Abra, which to me is kind of missing a sister city of Cadabra. I cracked myself up. Abra, which I believe is a grass strip. Then we're going across to, I think, another grass strip called Idre. I'm going to guess that that's Idre. Then down to Oslo, specifically Gardermoen. And then, fairly long leg across to Bergen, here on the west coast. So it's a four-legger. Why are we doing this? Well, it's an FSEconomy run. I've bought an aeroplane, which happens to be situated up here in Sweden. And I'm going to take it across to Bergen, base it there, and then do some flying, mainly around Norway, mainly in Norway. But I might cross into Sweden occasionally. Maybe down to Denmark, may even get across to that little place called Finland. Nordic region, that's what I'm going to do. I don't fly up here that often, and one of the beautiful things about a flight simulator is that you can go anywhere you want. And FSEconomy also gives me a little bit of purpose as well. So combine those two things together, and you've got a good time. Add Jude on top, and oh, I'm in heaven. Anyway, folks, a place in Sweden, across to a place in Norway, 460, the best nautical miles you will find in this part of the world. I'll have to heavily edit this video, but en route, I think what I'll do is I'll sort of film the takeoffs and departures, the movements. No, that didn't come out right. Film the movements. No, I'm not going to show you my movements, folks. I haven't quite reached that, plunged that depth just yet. Although there are some channels I understand, if you're interested in that sort of stuff. So takeoffs and departures. We might talk a little bit about FSEconomy and recent changes in that ecosystem en route. But yeah, 20 minutes. Let's go flying. All right, lined up runway 30. Is it 30? More like 34. 34, mate. Let's do this thing. Bringing the juice in. These ominous cloud formations above. ahead of us, eh? I'm gonna try and do this VFR as much as I can. It could present a challenge. Anyway, airspeed alive, we're all good here. Should be airborne pretty quickly. Lightly loaded. There's about 80, we can start rotate. There we go, runway heading for a bit. Nice light breeze here, gear up. Make an early turn, about 500 feet. Turn onto track. Leave the airport behind. We'll take flaps up. See that animate in? Oh, lovely. Beautiful. We'll call that 500 feet. Away we go, round the corner, down towards Abra. At about 4,500 feet is the plan. I'll see you for that approach, folks. So about 22 miles to go for our first stop, folks, in Abra. And yes, the weather is deteriorating. It's bloody beautiful though, look at that. Very atmospheric. Painting lots of green here on the display. This corresponds with a lot of wet stuff as we look through the windscreen. Are these raindrops here on the windscreen? Or is that something on my monitor where I've sneezed? No, look, it looks like it's raindrops, doesn't it? Or am I having a stroke? That's entirely possible. Anyway, folks, this is going to be a challenging little approach, I think. The strip's like 2,200 feet long, grass, wet, and we're not exactly flying a recognised bush aeroplane. Could have some issues with viz. Add to that my general incompetence, and well, you've got yourself a recipe for an interesting arrival. I'll see you for the final stages of it. Right, I'm calling it early. We're going to give Georgie a break. I'm calling it early that I think we're going to be in a bit of trouble here. I'm going to fly a right circuit, which should bring us in over this body of water here. I've got to slow down pretty early. The visibility is a bit ordinary. Completely unfamiliar with the strip. The runway here is a line 1735, so we're going to plan to land 35 based on where that wind is at the moment. I actually think I have sighted the runway there at about 1 o'clock. That's okay. I'm glad we've got it in sight. Can even take flap fairly early here, get us slowed right down. We don't need to be tearing around this circuit at all. So I reckon the strip's there at about 3 o'clock, yeah? I think. I'm gonna guess. Take gear as well. Let's get ourselves down. Alright, turn right base, keep it a bit of a tidy righty here. And once we get into the wide arc, we'll take full flap. And hopefully a runway presents itself, or something approximating a runway presents itself. We'll take full flap. That's a runway. I'm calling it. Now, we're high. We're going to need to slip this. Get ourselves down, I reckon. The speed's going to bleed off. There we go. We're down to about 90 knots. I'm happy with that. That got us down pretty effectively. We'll release the slip. Let's kind of just hold it just above 80, I reckon. Retrim. Here we go. We're okay. We're okay at the moment. I'm going to pull the power right out here. Get it on nice and early. Kind of force it on a little bit. Oh, we won't even need reverse. What was I worried about? We'll just let it roll through to the end. Got my knickers in a twist for no good bloody reason there. Here we go. We'll pull up next to this building on the right hand side and offload some cargo, pick up a couple of packs and get ourselves on our way to our next destination. So we'll see you for that bit. Alright folks, so still raining here in Abra as we begin our next leg towards Idra. What I think is pronounced Idra. My apologies to my Swedish viewers for my mispronunciations. I do try my best, but I'm an Australian bloke, an old one at that, who has trouble speaking his native tongue, let alone someone else's tongue. Speaking of other people's tongues, Jude's on board. And I would at this point cut to a shot of Jude if I could see her here in the VC, but I'm unable to do so at the moment. So, Idra, 107 nautical miles. We're going direct. We're going to go at 8,000 because of the conditions. I don't think we can do this VFR. I don't think so anyway. We'll go. We've got our landing light already on our strobe. Everything's good to go there. No warnings. We've got flaps sorted. We've got trims sorted. Heading bugs aligned. Local barrow is still 1005. We might just zoom out that map a little bit. So we'll be looking for... Zoom out, mate. We'll be looking for a left turn. It looks like the weather actually improves once we get out of here. And then sort of some issues as we get closer to Idra. Okay. That's alright. We might do a short field takeoff just because we can, and I don't often do them. Bring that power up, hold the brakes. Let that torque build. Torque build, power set. Away we go. Light breeze, I'm guessing. Hopefully still a headwind. I've assumed that it is. There we go. That's through 60. We might sort of start to rotate about here. We are quite light. Gear can come up. Runway heading to about 1,000 feet on the altimeter. Flaps up as we pass through about 115 knots, which is there. Continuing to climb. Yeah, light headwind. 1,000 feet. There. Let's begin our left turn. Alright. And we'll turn onto track, folks. Head towards our next stop, number 2 in a series of 4 legs. And once again, I'll probably see you for the approach. Alright, concluding stages of this second leg, folks. We're about 7 miles from touchdown. Slightly high, I would think, at this point. Although, we're only... No, we're actually pretty good. I might give Georgie a rest. In terms of space between us and terra firma, we're actually a little bit low. One thing to bear in mind, it's all about elevation above the ground, fella. Anyway, we'll track for a right base to a runway that probably aligns 3, 4, something like that, here in the town of Idra, Sweden. This will be our last stop in Sweden in today's sortie. About 1,000 feet above ground level at this time. Expecting a grass strip, which I think is going to be sort of, if we jump outside, not quite the view I had in mind, but I'm guessing that there is a grass strip. Oh, actually it looks like a paved surface. Right there. That's good. No, so what we might do is take flaps and take gear as well. We are very light at this point. Yeah, so we travelled down from, ended up cruising at flight level 120, actually climbed above some icy stuff. as icy as a mother-in-law's heart, as they say, at our planned altitude of 8,000. So we outclimbed it, got through it, and got in between layers, and it was rather nice up there. There's our strip, an extended right base, runway, whatever it's going to be, folks. Into the wide arc, take flap. There you go. Not a long strip, but it is paved. Come right back on that juice. We're going to end up a little bit hot. Otherwise, nice gentle rollout onto final. Prevailing. What the hell? What's going on here? I'm trying to sort out those runway markings. Oh, there's an extended sort of takeoff area at the other end. That's what I'm interpreting from that. So the strip actually looks longer than what it actually is in terms of a landing area, I suppose. Getting a little bit slow. I don't want to get much slower than that. Be okay. Runway 32, I guess 34. What's 20 degrees between friends? There we go. Geez, we're just wobbling it in here. Minimum speed. Yeah, we're going to pull up pretty quickly. And do a bit of a flare. There we go. We're on. Nose wheel touchdown. A little bit of braking. We'll get off and head towards that thing that looks like a terminal. Looks like a very unusual terminal for a strip like this, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. And we'll make our way there. So second leg complete, folks. We'll park, unload these packs, pick up. I think we're picking up some cargo here and flying down to Oslo. That's the plan. And we'll see you for the third leg. All right, folks. So the airport in front of you, in front of me, at least, is Gardermoen. Gardermoen, something like that, folks. Oslo's main airport is what it is, to the north of the city of Oslo itself. And I'm vaguely recalling, sorry, I'm just going to try and get myself lined up to one of these southerly facing runways. Looks like there's a couple to choose from. I'm vaguely remembering that this is Norway's busiest airport. I would expect it to be. And the next leg will take us across to Bergen, which is, I think, the second or third busiest. Would I be correct? I know I have Norwegian viewers. I'm sure that someone will correct me if I've got that wrong. Anyway, it looks like we're on approach to runway. Well, I'm guessing it's sort of 19 left. Would I be correct there? I feel like there's going to be a lot of corrections in the comments, and that's okay. This, I think, is a custom freeware version of this airport, which I downloaded a long time ago. I hope that it still holds up for the current version of the sim. Well, I guess we're going to find out. I mean, not that I explore these airports in any great depth. I'm kind of going to touchdown, find a spot to park, reset for the next leg. So I probably don't appreciate these masterpieces of scenery creation as I should. But there will be a link to it in the description, if it is, in fact, a custom version. Anyway, final for 19 left. Very light tailwind by the looks of it. It's been a beautiful third leg of the journey. Lovely weather. The weather's really improved as we sort of cross the border from Sweden into Norway. We'll take flap and gear at this point. Pretty much on profile, I think. We're getting thrown around a little bit. Unusually so. Although we have got some variability in the wind direction, if not speed. That may explain it. Thank you, Betty. And we're coming a little bit quick, aren't we? Nice long strip here, though. We take that power out and retrim. We will. This is rather choppy. Choppy final, giving the old fella something to do. Appreciate it. So we're gonna cross the threshold here a little bit quick. 19 left. I got it right. Yay me. Try not to take out the approach lighting. They look very close to the threshold, those lights. Yeah, we're quick here. Take that power right out. We'll just float it out a tad, hey? Bleed off that speed, go into a flare. Just hold her off, bleeding off the speed. Keep holding it off, keep holding it off, keep holding it off. Min speed warning. We'll touch down here now. And nose wheel on. A little bit of braking. We're going to miss that taxiway, I think. Yeah, we're going to miss that taxiway. That's okay. We'll take the next one on the right, wherever that is. I'll save you guys the trouble of witnessing that. So that's the third leg complete. We brought some cargo down from Idre to Gardermoen here in Oslo. The fourth leg will take us across to Bergen, and I'll also talk about the FSEconomy changes during that leg. So we'll see you en route. Alright, leg 4. And folks, if you notice a change in the lighting since the previous segment, that's because I'm filming this on a different day. The day after the night before. As is so often the case, life got in the way yesterday and I wasn't able to complete the fourth leg. But I'm back for another go this morning, determined to finish this adventure on the last run from Oslo down to, or across to Bergen. Now what's going on with my needles here? I don't quite understand. I'm seeing this occasionally. Like the needles don't line up with the desired path. The only way to make this happen seems to be a manually activate direct 2. It used to kind of just do that automatically, I thought. Anyway, runway 19 right here in Oslo. We've got 175 nautical miles across to Bergen on the west coast. Planning to go across VFR at 6.5 if we can. If we can. We'll see. But anyway, I'll get us rolling and on our way. And en route, during the cruise portion of this leg, we're going to talk about the recent FSEconomy changes. But before that, we need to get airborne. We'll call that power set. Looks like a fairly light breeze here in Oslo this morning. 60 knots. There's 70. 80, we can start to rotate around about there. Runway heading for a little bit. Positive rate, gear up and all that. This is one long ass runway, or two long ass runways here in Gardermoen. We are a little on the heavy side. We're carrying 7 packs, FSEconomy packs, across to Bergen this morning. Flaps up at that point. Continue our climb. Yeah, light headwind. There's 1,000 feet. We'll make the right hand turn and get on our way across to Bergen. So yeah, a little bit of we're going to make some good coin on this run. This is what it's all about here in the FSEconomy world. Anyway, folks, I'll see what we can cruise at. Hopefully VFR, because I'd love to enjoy the scenery. I'm hoping that 6.5 is high enough to get us over the terrain. We'll find out en route. And en route, we'll talk about those FSEconomy changes. So I'll see you for that bit. Alright, so settled in the cruise, 6.5. We're currently VFR. Well, we have been VFR. It's becoming a little bit doubtful as we continue west. But I'm able to enjoy the terrain, and that's the most important thing here. Beautiful part of the world. We're currently sort of to the west of Oslo. En route, Bergen. Jumping back inside. We've got around about 40 minutes to go till we get to Bergen. What I thought I'd do is talk a little bit about the recent FSEconomy changes that I have mentioned on several occasions in previous segments in this video. So let me bring up the forum post and let's have a chat. This is the forum post. This came through the other day from the FS admin account, the big boss. And basically what they're doing is they're introducing a maximum cargo parameter for aircraft models. Because there's been a few aircraft, if you're familiar with FSEconomy, there's a few aircraft that kind of can carry a little bit too much cargo. That's the simple explanation anyway. Well, more cargo than what they can in real life, just because of the way the weights and stuff work in FSEconomy. So, what is changing? Most biz jets and small flight-seeing aircraft will have their cargo capacity significantly reduce. So yeah, the change is the total payload capacity will no longer be a simple function of maximum takeoff weight minus empty weight. Right? So what this allowed you to do was essentially turn an aircraft into a really profitable cargo hauler, when in real life it doesn't quite work that way. So they've kind of made some adjustments, and this has been kicking around, from what I understand, for a while, in that some aircraft will now be limited in terms of their cargo capacity compared to what they used to have. So why is it changing? Let me quote the guy directly. To more accurately model the intent within FSEconomy of certain aircraft types which have no realistic reason to carry more than a minimal amount of freight. That's the justification for it. You'll either agree with it or you won't. I have no strong view on this. And that comes from someone who is quite affected by the change, particularly in one aeroplane. So this is a list of aircraft that is affected by the change. And you notice there's a whole bunch of biz jets there. I happen to own one of these. Currently partway through a world tour in it, which I must get back to. I've actually made some good progress in recent times. I own one of those, and previously I was able to carry that much cargo. After the change has been made, I can only carry that much. So I've lost a really big portion of my cargo carrying capacity, which means lost a big portion of revenue potentially as well. If I was to fly a lot of cargo runs, or what's known as black jobs, in the FSEconomy world, it would affect me. So it does affect me. It may affect others more. I tend to fly the VIP routes, the VIP assignments, I should say, where you're carrying whatever 6, 7, 8 packs. So the cargo thing doesn't really bother me, but I imagine it does bother a lot of other people. And there's a whole lot of biz jets here, and even some little fellas, the steermen as well. Again, this is back to their intent that the steerman wasn't meant to carry a whole bunch of cargo, so they've adjusted it. You know, things like the Honda jet, for example, which had a cargo capacity of that, is now down to 400. I mean, that's a pretty big jump, pretty big drop, I should say. A whole lot of other things. The Mustang. Not that there are many Mustangs in FSEconomy, but you used to be able to theoretically carry a shitload of cargo. We're now down to 200. Mustang is not a cargo carrier, is it? Right? Even the old Spitty, which I fly occasionally, had a cargo capacity of almost 1,000. Okay. This is 1,000. Is this 1,000 kilos? Is that what cargo is measured in FSEconomy? I think it is. Anyway, that's the change, and it's caused, you know, a little bit of a response, and you can read that through if you're an FSEconomy member. Visit the forum and read the responses, and people have different views. I personally roll with it. I've been around FSEconomy quite a long time. I've seen a lot of stuff come through. I don't have any say in it, and nor do I particularly care about that, to be honest. It's someone else's train set. They allow me to play with it. I roll the changes. It's that simple. I still enjoy my simming, regardless, right? Just adjust, adapt, improvise, overcome. Isn't that the words of wisdom? Something like that. Anyway, that's the change. There's also been another change, which is happening over here to the My Flight page. So this is the current leg that I'm on. So flying, I've created a group for my Nordic adventure called the Nordic Nevilles. I might talk about that in a second. But these are the assignments. So I've got 7 packs heading from Oslo across to Bergen. And so they've built a new page, a new view for the flight, My Flight sort of page, and they give you this, you know, sort of tabular view over here. So yeah, cargo is measured in kilos here. So it kind of breaks down your loading situation. I like it. Initially it looked a little bit busy for me, but it's I like it. I'm getting used to it. Again, adapt, improvise, overcome. You don't have to use it. There is an old version, which if you click this button, you get the old view of the flight, my flight page, which looks like that. But note that this view is scheduled for removal, so you're going to have to adapt at some point, whether you like it or not. And this comes back to my point. You just got to roll with these changes. Some people, these changes come through FSEconomy, and there's been some pretty big changes over the years, and people throw out, the baby with the bathwater, and away you go. Whenever they implement something of this magnitude, you find a whole lot of aircraft and FBOs suddenly become available because people just leave the system. This is not a great thing, but I mean, look, bloody hell, it's a game. It's not real. None of this is real. The money's not real. You know what I mean? Anyway, the Nordic Nevilles. So that's the group I've created. As I minimise that, and we'll enjoy some scenery here. The Nevilles. Now, this is a bit of a tribute to all those blokes called Neville in the world. Nev, or the Nevs. For me, I remember a time, particularly in Australia, which is where I spent most of my life, every neighbourhood had a Neville. Seemed to have a bloke called Neville. It's a pretty popular name, I'm guessing, back in the sort of, I don't know, 50s, 60s maybe. And yeah, if you were, you needed to find something to help you finish a project, like a thingamabob or a whatchamacallit, you go around to visit your neighbourhood Neville, right? And you go around to his joint, and he'd often have a missus called, June or Marge or something like that. And you'd have to get past her. She'd be sort of working the door. G'day June, g'day Marge, how are you, love? She'd generally offer you a cuppa or something like that. So you get past her, out into the backyard where you'd find a shed of some description, and in that shed you'd find Neville, or Nev. He was always Nev to his mates, wasn't he? G'day Nev, how are you, mate? And he'd say, what can I help you with? And he'd say, Neville, I'm doing this project, mate, and I need a thingamabob. And whatchamacallit. Would you happen to have one? And these blokes always had sheds that had very poor lighting. Had a little window, a door that seemed to be sort of rusted on, and a single sort of light, a light bulb. That was the light for the whole shed. I mean, a light bulb from the bloody Edison era. And that was his light. And you just have to hold the light, the light bulb, the cord, sort of direct it to where he needed it to be, And he'd go and he'd say, look, give me some light in the corner. And he'd go into the corner of his shed and he'd find the thingamabob that you needed. Drag it out, give it to you, shake of the hand, good on you, Nev, and back you go. See you later, June, see you later, Marge. Till next time. And you'd be able to complete your project. And the blokes, generally seem to be named Neville. So that's why I've called, a really long story, wasn't it? That's why I've called the group the Nordic Nevilles. Throwbacks to those days where everyone had a neighbourhood Nev. And to all the Nevs that may be watching this video, hope you're all well, and thanks for your contribution to the world. Good on you, Nev. So continuing the journey towards Bergen, just had got a bit of an update around weather in Bergen, what to expect, and what to expect is pretty ordinary conditions. You can see a lot of stuff painting here on the display, a lot of red and orange, which ain't good. It's actually painting to the northwest of the field, but apparently at the airport, Flesland Airport, we've got a cloud base of 400 feet. We've got low vis. We've got a pretty stiff southerly blowing, and the airport is currently reporting IFR conditions, which kind of makes sense based on the criteria that I preceded that statement with. So we're going to be making instrument approach, a rare instrument approach for the old fella. Look at this, as we get closer, she gets... Our VFR days are gone, so we've swapped over. We're now flying an OFR. Well, an improvised IFR planned from this point forward. We're heading direct to Bablu. Let me go downstairs there for you. Bablu, we're going to take a shortcut. We really should be going via Gilva, but Bablu will be our point where we begin the turn towards home, and then track for an ILS to runway 17 into Bergen. So 60 nautical miles, about 15 minutes to run, or thereabouts. We'll join you for the approach, folks. Might let Georgie do some of this flying for us. Well, he's doing most of the flying, but it's been beautiful, absolutely beautiful, to look outside the window until this point, and that's what you see, a whole lot of this. I love it, absolutely love what I'm seeing. So I'm going to enjoy flying this aeroplane, but it's not so beautiful ahead of us. Anyway, folks, we'll join you for the ILS into runway 17. Alright, folks, so we've given Georgie an early mark. I was going to let him fly us closer to the runway, but I felt like I needed to do something. Final approach into runway 17 here at Bergen, folks. Trying to sort of manually fly the ILS here with some degree of accuracy. I don't know how well we're doing. I'm hearing beeping. That puts us overhead the outer marker, or in proximity to it anyway. It's good enough. We seem to be on the glide. Yeah, pretty close. Just above it at the moment. That visibility's much better than forecast. And the base, we busted out of that around about 1,500 feet. Sure what's going on there. Anyway, we could have flown a visual, as it turns out. Oh well. Nice to do something a little bit different, hey? An improvised instrument approach rather than a improvised visual. They're always improvised, no matter what the classification. Take final flap here. And stiff southerly hasn't eventuated either. What's going on? A little bit choppy here in terms of frame rate. We are rendering some stuff. This is a custom version of Bergen Airport. We're getting high here, well high. And there's some other sort of scenery add-ons for this part of the world which are active. And yeah, the sim is struggling a little bit with performance here. Feels quite choppy in terms of frame rate. We just get ourselves back onto the glide here. The southerly is picking up a little bit in strength. And through 100 knots. There we go. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. What's going on? Oh well. Look, it's been a very enjoyable little four-leg adventure here, from starting in Sweden and finding our way across to the west coast of Norway. Very enjoyable, and look forward to doing some more flying in this aeroplane in this part of the world. Wind strength is picking up as we get closer to the ground. That's interesting. Middle marker. A little bit of turbulence here. Yeah, very choppy performance. Oof. Struggling a little bit. There we go, back on profile. Runway 17. Wind pretty much down the strip. Try and get a planner on. Center line. Center line. Center line eventually. Hit the brakes. A little bit of reverse because we haven't done that. Around we go, around the corner, made it. Folks, welcome to Bergen. And look, thank you very much for your company on another video. Hope wherever you are, you're well, that you're enjoying your simming. And we will see you again sometime in the future. Bye for now.